Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is fine. Yes, let's start our lecture today. We will be discussing motivation, human factor, a very important point in today's business world. Yes, actually, why human is an important factor for success of the businesses? Actually, the answer is it's the human factor who realizes the missions, right? You can have the best strategic plan, you can have the best factories, best skill, best assets, right? You can have the financial power, but you need humans. You need employees, workers who do the job. If they cannot handle the job, if you cannot perform well, you will be unsuccessful. So in this chapter today, we will talk about one of the most important things to reach the success, motivate workers to perform well. Okay, how can you arrange the employee manager relations, right? There is a hierarchy in most of the businesses, and there are some managers in low level, middle level, and top level, and there are all workers there. And how can you establish this relationship in a good way to increase the motivation? We will talk about this today. So, what are the human relation goals, basic goals? First of all, every employee has some needs in some organizations, right? I mean, they don't just came to you, work for you just for money. I mean, they may have some additional needs. They have some additional emotional needs, social needs, right? So you need to create an environment in businesses also fulfill these needs. Okay, not only giving them wage, not only giving them salaries is enough. And other one is very important for your competitive ability, for success in the long run, right? Because if your human resource, if your employees are performing well, it means that you have a competitive advantage, right? You can beat up your rivals in the industry. Therefore, human relations are important. First of all, meeting their goals, then engaging them with your own company level goals to increase the success. What's the motivation then? Actually, motivation is defined as refers to the forces, either internal or external to a person, that arouse enthusiasm and persistence to pursue a certain course of action. So I think you know the meaning of this word, right? Motivation. We use it in Turkish a lot also. So to motivate someone to do something, right? It could be an internal thing, that you can motivate yourself to reach some goals. Or it could be external as well. Someone can motivate you, right? Okay, you should work. Okay, you should do that. You can achieve that. I mean, someone can encourage you to do something. So it is an important factor, motivation. I mean, it's hard to see that, right? I mean, it's not a concrete thing. It's something in the human's belief system, human's inner side, and you cannot see that, like in the exactly. I mean, that you can see the external environment, but it's an important intrinsic factor, right? So, what kind of motivation? How can you set these motivation to your employees? Okay, one important and successful way is creating some objectives for your human resources, for your employees. I mean, setting them some goals and leading them to that goals. Okay, so you are saying your workers, okay, I am expecting you these numbers of sales this year. Okay, so actually you give them a direction. It motivates them. If you don't give them objectives, if you just say them, I mean, unorganized works, give them unorganized works, maybe they can feel more complicated, more unrelaxed, right? Because they don't know what to do. They don't have a concrete thinking on what he or she will do today in job, or tomorrow, or for the next months in the job, right? So management by objectives could be shown like this, right? First of all, in the definition phase, you define some organization level goals, right? To reach some sales level, to reach some income, to reach some market penetration levels, anything. You define these organization goals. And you link employees with those goals, okay? Let's say you have 10 employees. For each of you, you clearly say that I am expecting this from you, okay? This is your goal, this is your objective, okay? And this is the other worker's objective. I mean, everything is clear. So when you clearly define these objectives, then you need to, as the next step, monitor these performance, right? Whether these employees are reaching your goals, your set of objectives or not. It's an important question. If they don't reach that goals, if they don't meet your expectations, for example, you can ask why. Why didn't you achieve this goal? Why didn't you reach that sales? Why didn't you achieve that performance? Is it a problem related to your employee, or it's a problem because of your organization or external factors? When you know that, when you find the problem, okay, you can provide some feedback to your employee. Okay, I see that your performance is somehow low because of these. I think that because of these you are low performing. So if you can correct yourself in terms of these, so you can be more successful. Okay, this is providing feedback to your job. Okay, whether you are good or bad. I mean, you can give feedback if the employee is very successful as well. Okay, I mean, you are outperforming, very good. I like you doing that. I like you doing this. This is very important for our company. You are very valuable for our company, right? This kind of providing feedback actually increases the motivation. Next step is very, very important, maybe the most important one. Appraising the performance. What is appraising? So, actually, if you provide some additional benefits, provide some additional money or other kinds of benefits to your workers who outperform, who perform better than others, okay, this is a motivation factor. This could be a motivation factor for other employees to be more successful as well. For example, you say that, okay, any employee who reached that level of sales, okay, I will give them 1% of appraisal payment. Okay, so by this way, actually you are encouraging, you are motivating your employees to perform better, to struggle more, to challenge themselves, to outperform, right? And you need to also do it in a fair and just way. I mean, you need to appraise the person who worked a lot than the others, so that he would know that, okay, I worked hard and I get more. But if you just give the appraisal system just equally to everyone, then the outperformance would think that, okay, why I am working, why I am struggling too much, okay? Because there is no difference between what I am paid, right, and what the others paid. So they may think that, okay, I would not study anymore, I would not do that anymore, because my wage is similar with all others, and if I outperform very good, if I sell, let's say, 2 times more times than others, they wouldn't give me a medal, they wouldn't give me anything. So why would I dare to struggle myself to outperform, right? So this is important. I mean, you need to distinguish between the successful workers and non-successful workers. You need to give the prizes to give the gifts to the successful ones and motivate the others to be like them. If you don't motivate them, you make a big mistake and you unmotivate the successful ones. So you are not only not being able to motivate your unsuccessful workers, but you are also unmotivating your successful workers. This is a very important problem. Okay, so and the next step, you evaluate your performance, overall performance, and you define your organizational goals again. Okay, so this is the general picture of management by objective process. This is very important. Yes, let's continue about the motivational factors. What is the history of it? How this motivation how was realized, this motivation factor, right? Actually, Frederick W. Tyler. You will hear about him a lot. He is called as the father of the scientific management, and he wants to improve the employee efficiency, right? he wanted to, back in the 1920s, 1930s, he wanted to improve the employee efficiency in the factories. And they said that he thinks that people almost are motivated by money. So he created a system, okay, and motivated workers by giving them more money. This is the Taylor system. So he provides 5 actually principles here to increase the motivation, increase the efficiency. What was that? Let's remember them. First of all, separate the planning and doing, okay? So planning must be done at the management level, at the top level, and the implementation, doing the job, should be done by the workers at the low level. He said that there will be a separation, right? And one best way of task execution, you need to define more efficient way to realize the tasks, right? Based on scientific methods. So every worker executes only one step in the overall tasks. Maybe you remember the PIN example, PIN factor example, right? Fordism method, Taylorism method, and assembly line method. So you give one simple task to everyone, and you expect them to realize that task. And you clearly explain them the task's expectations. You give them a goal, clear goal. You need to do that. And you need to select the best person to realize that, right? Having the necessary skills and abilities. And you need to train them to how to do their job. If they don't know how to do the job, you cannot expect them to do, right? You need to provide some training. And also you need to control them, control their performance. This is the principles of Taylorism. And Taylorism brings the motivation factor, thinking with money. And he said that if you give money to the hardworking people, I mean, the others also will look at them and they try to work more. They try to be like him. Another important motivational theory is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Actually, it's very important. You will see it a lot in your future courses as well. And I suggest you to learn it very well. Okay. What does Maslow says? I mean, maybe you have realized this before. Maybe you heard about this Maslow hierarchy. What is that? He say that okay, the people's needs actually define. They have some needs, and these needs have some hierarchy in between them. Okay, so first of all, every human needs some physiological needs, right? Like eating, right? Most basic, eating, drinking, right? Having a, I mean, not dying, like surviving in the nature. This is the most basic physiological needs of a human beings. So if you cannot, for example, meet that need, I mean, this person would not care about its social position or other kinds of needs, psychological or moral needs, right? Actually, this is the most basic human physical needs. The second one, he actually needs a security, right? Safe and secure environment, a shelter, a home. I mean, if someone is homeless, right? So you cannot expect him to have some needs, have some urgent needs like social esteem and self-actualization needs, right? I mean, he said that these kind of social esteem and self-actualization needs comes after you meet physiological and security needs. So there's a hierarchy of needs, right? According to the position of that people in the society, the needs may change. Next one, social needs, right? Everyone desires to be accepted by others' peers, their colleagues, their friends, right? Accepted needs in a social moment, in a social culture, in a society, in a religion, in a family environment, right? They need these social needs. What else? Then they have a desire for a positive self-image, to receive attention. I mean, esteem, self-esteem, right? Believing in himself, believing in herself, right? Believing that he is useful to the world. He can do good things, right? And the last one, self-actualization needs. So the self-fulfillment, realizing the mission of your life, right? What is your mission in your lives, guys? What do you want to be? Where do you want to be? I mean, what is the place that you will be happy? with yourself, right? I mean, if what kind of success if you have, you feel that okay, I am really happy. I would be there. I mean, it's actually something more than your jobs, right? I mean, all of you would hopefully graduate from our school and they will find some jobs. You will find some jobs. You will be managers, you will be workers, you will be sales managers, marketing people, finance people. I mean, you will work in these kind of good companies. But it is your the ultimate aim of yourself about you. Okay, what do you think about yourself in your future? Where do you want to be? I mean, what kind of a person do you want to be? You want to be a celebrity? Do you want to be a scientist? Right? Do you want to be? You want to contribute to the world in what kind of ways? Right? I mean, to be useful to your society, for example, to be a good role model for your children, for example. What would be your the ultimate goal, ultimate level of if I reach that place, I would be I would consider myself successful. I actualized myself, I actualized my dreams. So this is something not very material thing, right? I mean, you could be rich, you could be paid very huge salaries, right, in good companies, but it may not be enough for you. I mean, you want to, for example, do something more impactful to the society. You want to change something, and this is actually what we call this kind of thinking in self-actualization needs. Okay, this is also a need, right? Because people have these kind of inner motivations, right? All of us somehow, in some level, have these kind of needs. But what Maslow says, first, actually, you cannot jump into that self-actualization needs. You cannot jump into that esteem needs before you meet these low-level, some other basic needs. For example, if someone is hungry, if someone not secure, do not have a house, do not have a shelter, do not have the money to feed their family, right? You cannot talk about the self-esteem goals. Do not talk about the self-actualization goals. Therefore, it should be step by step. Maslow says us that. So when you look at your employees, maybe some of your employees may have financial problems and may have needs more related to this basic needs like physiological needs or security needs, but maybe some of your employees may have other needs, right? They need to be respected. They need to be actualizing their dreams. So if your job is so boring, they may want to quit. Okay, they don't like to work in your company. Actually, this is a very common situation recently because most of our university students expect jobs that fulfill their self-actualization needs as well. But most of the jobs, unfortunately, do not do that. I mean, for example, if you would be a government officer in a government institution, you will be very boring. You will have a very boring, most probably, regular job, right? You every day you do the same thing. I mean, it's boring. It's standardized job. I mean, you just check some papers and pass it to your supervisor. This kind of a job. So after a while, you become to think that okay, what am I am doing there? I mean, am I born to do that job? Am I born to be a government officer? Am I born to be a banker? Am I born to be a sales manager? Right? So you want something more. Maybe you want to do something else. I don't know if am I clear about this? I mean, what would be your opinions on that? I mean, what would you want from a job, guys? Do anyone want to talk? I mean, what kind of a job do you want to have? I mean, is the money is the only factor that motivates you, or there are other self-actualization factors, self-esteem factors that we mentioned like that? Anyone want to talk or comment by writing as well? Is money enough for you? I mean, is a good salary is enough for you to select it?
Enough.
Okay, what would you expect from a job, for example, for yourself?
Maybe security, or maybe my desire can become true in my job. It's important for me.
What is your desire, for example?
To know.
To be known, to be
Yeah.
famous.
No, it's not being a famous.
Mhm.
Being making good things in my life, and people should know to these facts. I think about me, about my job.
So you want to create some difference in the society, right?
It's not about society. It's only about myself. I'm not
Ah,
care society, I think. But if I, how can I say that? If I do good things in my life for myself or my family, I can be happy and I can be, yeah, I can did it. I can prove it. But it's not about famous. I mean that.
it's not about fame. Okay, but as we, I mean, you as you say also, it's not about just money, right? It's not about just a paycheck.
Yeah.
Yes. What else? Anyone else to want to talk? Barış said having a good standard of living and good teamwork. Like, yes, Barış, for example, you would want to travel around the world, right? For example, I mean, most of the young people, they want to go travel around the world. They want to see the different cultures, different countries. And if you, for example, work very hard, if you work in weekends, if you don't have any holidays, right, in your organization, I mean, it would be a bad thing for you, right? I mean, most of the students, most of the young people want to go travel to the world, go to see different cultures, right? Experience them, to meet with other people in the global world. So this is something they could expect from a job, right? I mean, if the job can provide you this international trips, international jobs that you go, for example, to Europe, that you go to America or other places for your jobs, it could be another motivation factor for you, right? To select that job. So if you want to write, you can write. Again, we can discuss it too. But what I wanted to say, what I wanted to point is that the job is, and the employee needs, worker needs, is something more than just the money, something more than just physical security needs, right? Because employees, they want to uh, realize something bigger. Okay, let's continue. So this is a related another theory. This is two-factor theory. Okay, Heisenberg. I just did the name if I remember right. So he said that this guys claim that there are two factors. Okay, motivators and hygiene factors. Hygiene factors. These hygiene factors are very similar to the Maslow's physiological and security needs, right? These are the hygiene factors. He named them it as it is, right? And this is actually hygiene factors must be there, right, as a standard for a work. Because if they do not exist, they create a dissatisfaction. It's not about satisfying the business, motivating the company. If they don't exist, it creates a dissatisfaction to the employees, like working conditions, pay and security, company policies, supervisors, interpersonal relationships, right? If there's a problem in with this very basic level, there could be an unmotivation factor for employees to leave the job, to do harmful behaviors, right, to the company. But area of satisfaction is more related to some other factors, not hygiene factors, by motivators. What are these? Achievements, okay, to achieve something, as Zainab said. Recognition, being known by others, for example. Someone wanted to be that, their name should be recognized in that company, in that industry, in that society, whatever. Having the responsibility, working itself, the work itself. It's, for example, it could be a work who based on helping others. For example, if you are working in United Nations, you are helping, let's say, people in Africa, people in traveling countries, right? So it could be a motivation factor for you because you want to be a part of that organization. And your personal growth. In academy, for example, I like my job very much because every day actually we learn something new, right? Because we always read something, read new articles, read new books, and we discuss new ideas with other scholars, other academicians. So actually it's create for myself a personal growth. I learn something new, and my job actually pay me to do that, right? To write an article, to write a book, to discuss with other academicians in the scientific field. So it's a good motivator for me, maybe a better motivator than money, right? So this actually influences the satisfaction level. I mean, this is the two-factor theory. Make a distinction between these hygiene factors. There must be there. Okay, you cannot just leave them. And motivators actually the satisfaction factors of employees. Another one, theory X and theory Y. Theory X, these two theories actually, they define the perceptions of employees in terms of the managers. Some employees think that in theory X, employees don't want to work. They must be threatened and with the punishment to achieve that goal. I mean, if you treat them in a fair way, they would not work. They would be opportunists, right? They will avoid their responsibilities, and they will value security above all other job functions. I mean, job factors. They don't want to lose their job. So if you threaten them to, if you don't do that, if you don't achieve it, I will fire you. They would work well. I mean, this is theory X. But theory Y say that employees actually like work. I mean, they want to work. They like working. They like creating something, producing something. They naturally work toward goals they are committed to. You can give them goals and they will be committed, right? The average person accepts and even seeks responsibility. They want to take that responsibility. And employees' intellectual potentials are only partially realized, right? So if you can give them a chance, they could realize themselves very well, better. So theory X and theory Y, they have some assumptions about human, assumptions about worker on attitude, direction, responsibility, motivation, and creativity. So let's see them in a clear way. I mean, which one is more logical for you? I mean, think about that. So theory X says that employees dislike work. They find it boring and avoid it if they can. Okay, but theory Y say that they need to work, right? And they want to take an interest in it. Under the right conditions, they can even enjoy it, enjoying what you do. And they say that if you want to be successful in your business, you need to like it, right? You need to enjoy what you are doing. So direction must be outsourced, must come from external outside according to theory X. And they say that you need to force your employees, right? Coerce them. But theory Y says that you give them a target and they will expect them by themselves. Intrinsic motivation. Theory X said there could be extrinsic threats. So in theory X, they say that the employees would rather avoid taking responsibility, but theory Y say that they seek and accept responsibility under the right conditions, of course. Motivation, the motivation must be only by money, theory X said, but theory Y says that they are motivated actually also by the desire to realize their own potential, their self-actualization needs, as Maslow says, right? And creativity thinks that, theory X thinks that most of the employees, they don't have creativity, but theory Y said actually if you give them the potential, if you give them the chance, they can create, they can be very creative, right? This is the different perceptions of employees. Which one do you think is more true? Which one is more realistic, do you think? Mostly in, yes.
It depends on, I think. Maybe some, I don't know, but low-level employees don't can be theory X. Because they have to be in there, they have to work for something. But for more qualified, I don't know in English, but for university teachers, for university graduated persons, can be theory Y because they have to chance to pick.
Yeah, thank you, Zeynep. Actually, I think what your concepts would be blue collar, white collar. Blue collar workers, as you described, the ones who work the physical works generally, cleaners, instructors, I mean, workers who do their living by their physical power. But white collar workers is more like intellectual workers who do their job with their knowledge, like graduates from university and other ones. So yes, you may be right. I mean, theory X could be right in terms of blue collar works more, right? Because sometimes if you don't have a coercive power upon your employees, you cannot make them work, right? Think about a building. They instruct a building and there are some workers. If they don't have a chef among them, if they don't have a director who monitors them, right, who force them to work, I mean, they would most probably don't work as efficient as they expected, right? But it's a prejudiced perception as well, right? They may be also motivated. They may be also have this kind of motivations. But who knows? But in reality, as you say, there are just differences. Yes, let's go to another topic, employee burnout. What does burnout means? Burnout in Turkish means tükenmişlik sendromu. Have you heard it before? Burnout, tükenmişlik sendromu. So, what is that? First of all, if an employee thinks that he is treated or she is treated unfairly in the company, he or she has unmanageable high levels of workload, right? And he have a poor performance. If there's a lack of clarity in terms of the job roles, okay? And if there's a lack of communication and support, and there's a time deadline pressure, that means that employees feel burnout, right? They want to, what kind of problems? Burnout means they don't want to work more. They don't want to go to work. They dislike, they are very unhappy. They have stress. They have like in a depression, right? So what kind of results? Emotional exhaustion, the depersonalization, low levels of achievement, and sometimes clinical depression as well. So, how can a manager then improve the working conditions to prevent burnout? He can enrich the job, he can redesign the jobs. Okay. How can it be possible, right? Enriching the job. For example, as you also mentioned that you expect some self-realization needs in the job. You expect some self-actualization needs, but your job do not provide you that. I mean, maybe the job provider, the manager, could think about giving some additional social benefits to their employees or decreasing the workload of employees. I mean, motivating them by some extracurricular activities, right? Or, for example, you have a very boring job and you don't want to do that job. I mean, you get bored of doing that job, and you give your employee a new job. I mean, this is what enriching is. A new, more, let's say, intellectual job, right? I mean, okay, just I want to put you in a team, and you will work in that additional responsibility, which requires, for example, more intellectual work, and you like it. You feel that okay, now I worth something. What I do is worth something. Okay, this is what job enrichment. And job redesign is just getting rid of this boring part of the job and designing it in a very enjoyable way, in a positive way in terms of employees thinking. Also, diversity is also important consideration in the motivation factor. Race, gender, age, culture, religion. I mean, we are living in a diverse community, right? We are living in a culture, in a country. There are many different cultures, many different people living in our country, and a business also respect to them. I mean, for example, especially this is more emphasized in the American textbooks because they have more these kind of diversity issues. You know how the policemen treat to black people. I mean, and so you know how they treat to the Muslims and other religions, right, in their country. And this could be an important demotivating factor for your employees. I mean, think about in Turkey. I mean, we are in Turkey, and let's say we are working somewhere, and there are some people who are from some minorities. I mean, could be, or other religions, or other cultures, or there could be some refugees. There could be some I don't know. I mean, any people coming from the other backgrounds. I mean, of other experiences. If you treat them in an unfair way, unjustly, right? If you, for example, provide them, give a superiority to some sort of people in your company and leave others behind them, it could create some very diversity problems, right? And especially this exists in gender differences as well, right? In some companies, men are more prioritized than women in terms of the salaries they get, in terms of promotion. And this is something, let's look at if I put it here. No, I don't. There's a concept of glass ceiling. Maybe you heard this, cam tavan, glass ceiling, which means that women in general are not given the equal chances as men in terms of promotion and payment. I mean, even if they do the same job, they will get less money than the men. And even if they are as successful as the other people, other men, colleagues, they will not be promoted in the jobs. I mean, this is a gender discrimination, for example, right? So, I mean, there could be many these kind of discriminations, and it's a very important factor to demotivate people. Older employees and younger employees, it's also an important issue because older employees are important because they have an experience, they bring it to the company, they can judge better, right? Because they make a decision based on their older experiences, and they know the job better, and they give more commitment to quality and commitment to the company as well, and they're more likely to show up on time to the jobs, and they're less likely to quit. But younger employees, right? What are the advantages of having younger employee? They are more flexible, more adaptable to changes, to technology, right? Expecting new technology, better learning skills. Maybe you cannot teach some older workers to how to use a computer program, but a younger employee, you don't need to care about it. He can learn very easily. But yeah, younger people may more tendency to quit, may more tendency to be less committed to the company, right? And some staffing challenges. What could be shortage of skilled labor in the environment? We cannot find good laborers, good employees. Right sizing the workforce. So what is the right need of my number? What is the right number of employee I need, right? If you cannot find it, if you cannot decide what is the required number of your workers, I mean, it could be a problem for you. And sometimes employees want to balance their lives, their private lives and job lives. Actually, when I first graduated from Bilkent University, I worked in Istanbul in some of the financial advisory company, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and they have required so much commitment. I mean, sometimes in some cases, I was working in weekends. I was working till the midnight and come back to work in the very early morning. And they don't provide you a chance to balance your private lives. They want all of your time to be dedicated to the company if needed. Okay, it's a very unmotivating, demotivating factor for me. I mean, this is something one of the most reasons that I quit that job, because you don't have any private life. I mean, they are calling you in the middle of the night and saying you, okay, tomorrow you are going to that city to do that job. I mean, you cannot say that, okay, did you ask me before? No, you cannot. You need to go, okay, because this is what they require. Hard working, long hours of working. Some challenge, because most of the workers want a balance. They want to spend their time with their family. They want to go travel. They want to make some holidays, right? This is also another challenge. Harassment, it's an important problem as well. It's actually a legal problem as well, and it should be. Sometimes there are other problems like mobbing, right? Sexual mobbing or sexual mobbing. Some superior could have some actions, have some things, this harassment to the other woman in the company, right? So you need to be careful as well. You need to be preventing to this, and you don't need to cover this kind of problems. Okay, if some male worker or male manager commit a crime like that, I mean, it needs to be handled. It's needed to be, if necessary, handled to the police, or the rights of that woman workers must be protected. It's a very important thing. And some work arrangements that we can manage to increase the motivation of people, or sometimes they should be decreasing. Giving flexible times for work, right? You don't require your workers to have a daily timely basis, but you just give them the work. You can do it whenever you want. If you want to do it in the midnight, do it in the midnight. I just look at to the result. If you do the job for me, that's okay. I mean, you can say that, for example, in some sort of jobs. Telecommuting, I mean, maybe we can say it in more recent terms, using the internet, right, on the jobs, as we do it here, right? It's actually doing your meetings on Zoom, on Teams, on internet, and this kind of things that can be done. And job sharing means that, I mean, sometimes there could be problem, and you say that, okay, there are 2 employees, you don't want to fire anyone, and you say that, okay, you divide that job, and half of the time you came to the job, half of the time the other employee came to the job. By this way, maybe you can cover the crisis times, right? And unions, you don't need to go into the details of the unions, but it's a, how can I say, legal right of employees to be part of a union, right? To negotiate their rights, right? Rights with the employee, rights with the managers. What is the main issue there? Main motivation there? Actually, sometimes some corporations, some businesses may have some unfair, illegal practices towards their employees. And as an employee, you cannot define your rights individually, because they threaten to you, for example, to fire you from the job. So what could you do? If you are a member of a union, I mean, these unions actually can help you to deal with this kind of abusive managers, abusive businesses. And for example, if they want to fire you, I mean, your union, for example, would sue them, would open up a case in the custodies and fight for your rights, right? Or let's say you are bargaining on your wage with the company, right? And if you do it individually, you don't have a power to change the change the idea of your managers. But if you do it collectively, for example, all of the workers, 1,000 workers coming together as a union, they are collecting with the, they're bargaining with the company, and you could get more benefits, right? This is the good part of the union. And what the union can do if they fail with expecting companies having an exception between them, they can conduct strikes. In Turkish, we call that grev. They can organize boycotts, or they can use publicity. I mean, they can. I mean, today we use mostly Twitter, right? These kind of abusions, so everyone can hear the problem of the company. It could damage their prestige, their brand and image. They don't want that. So these kind of things that are mostly used to protect the rights of the employees, right? Unions as well. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any questions about today's topic?
No, but can you answer the quiz, teacher?
Of course, yeah. Yes, I will. Okay, thank you very much. I am stopping the record for today.